In 2012, I purchased a 4-unit for $66,000. That deal alone took us 6 long months to close. The wholesaler as well as the mortgage lender on that deal was pissed. Why was it pissed? Well, the mortgage lender, he only made a $700 commission off 6 months worth of work. That's a lot. And the reason why it took so long, I didn't know a thing about the cash flow cycle. So I'm Juan Pablo, the CEO and founder of 100%finance.com. And on this channel, we like to educate you on the ins and outs of commercial real estate investing. At 100% Finance, we have a full-service multifamily investment program, the best in the nation, hands down. But by the way, guys, we created this channel for you. So if you have any questions, place them in the comments below. And make sure you click that button, that bell in the top left-hand corner so you can subscribe to more real estate investing content. Secure the funding. I cannot stress that enough. So back in 2012, when I bought that 4-unit for $66,000, if you were buying a similar 4-unit for that amount, you want to raise 110% of that purchase price. So in that case, in that scenario, that'd be $72,600. Now the question is, Juan Pablo, why on earth do I need way more money than the purchase price? Where does that extra 10% and 110% account for? Great question. It goes towards the soft costs, closing costs, and reserves. What are soft costs? Those are costs incurred prior to closing on the property, not necessarily related to the property itself. That could be reaching out to an attorney to get an entity form, right, to hold the property. That could also involve getting a property inspection. It can also involve getting that property appraised, right? Then you have closing costs. Most people are familiar with closing costs. The wholesaler or the real estate agent got to get paid at the end of that transaction. The mortgage broker or mortgage lender got to get paid at the end of that transaction, and so forth. Costs incurred at closing. And then reserves. Now that's one of the biggest mistakes I see beginning real estate investors make. They never account for an emergency fund. Occasionally, things don't go exactly as planned. So you want to have an oops account, a reserve, right, for your properties. So that's why you want to raise 110% of the purchase price. Now let's break the math down a tad bit more. So you might be thinking, well, how can I finance that 110%? Great question. 80% of the financing can come from a mortgage, okay? At the time of this recording, all right? Of course it varies, but 80%. Another 10% can come from the seller in the form of seller financing or owner financing, a junior mortgage, a second mortgage. All these terms are synonymous, they're interchangeable. Now, seller financing is contingent upon the seller's motivation for one, and your savviness as a negotiator. If you've never taken any courses on negotiations, right, or if the seller's just plain out not interested in seller financing, then it may be difficult to obtain seller financing for that deal. Now the latter 20%, my friend, can come from your savings, it can come from bonuses at your job, from retirement accounts, from private money, whether that's private equity partners, or it could come from private lenders, or it could come from business credit, which we offer at 100%finance.com, right? A multitude of ways. Now there's 2 things I want to mention before I close this part out in regard to securing the funding. First thing, as I mentioned earlier, right, at the time of this recording, why did I say that? Because market conditions always change. Pre-class, I'll say the crash, you know, what happened in 2007, interest rates were what? They were higher than 5%, right? They were pretty astronomical, but the terms were a bit more soft, a bit more lenient. But post-crash, what happened to the terms, the rates, the interest rates? They decreased. 3%, 4%, 5%. Some of you guys may remember. I remember because that's when I got into the market and started scooping up deals at a discount. However, the criteria was a bit more stringent where lending is concerned. So the market is always changing, so you gotta be mindful of what's going on in the market. Because I don't want you to quote me, well, Juan Pablo, in that video, you said it's only 80% mortgage, the LTV. It could change based upon the market. Second thing, it can also change based upon you. How strong are you as a borrower? If you're investing in multifamily for the first time, if you're investing in a new market for the first time, if you're investing with a high debt to income ratio, if you're investing with no proof of funds or not liquid in your account, that can have a huge impact on your LTV, a huge impact on your interest rates, a huge impact on you getting qualified for a commercial loan. So all these things are important in regard to securing the funding, but you can do it. You can only obtain cash flowing properties if you have a gang of deal finders sending you deals. I cannot stress that enough. You need to have a plethora. That's the Toastmasters for. Shout out to Toastmasters, man. You got a lot of organizations, self-improvement, baby. But you gotta have a plethora of deal finders. What's a deal finder? It could be a real estate agent, a listing agent, right? Someone who lists property with a seller. You can also be a wholesaler, someone who has an investor's mindset who's able to find you cash flowing properties. It could be you being a deal finder. It could be you driving for dollars, knocking on doors, sending out a direct mail campaign, a yellow letter campaign. It could be you searching the internet for deals. But at the end of the day is this, my friend. You need to have a bunch of deals coming into your inbox. Because if you don't have deal flow, you won't have cash flow. And I had to learn this lesson early on. Because when I had one real estate agent who would send me a deal every now and then, for one, I got frustrated because at this rate, I won't ever close on a cash flowing deal because not every deal he sent me was a good deal. But once I started gaining a gang of deal finders, multiple different ways of sending me deals, then that's when my likelihood of obtaining a cash flow deal increased greatly. So you need to make sure you have a gang of deal finders. The caveat to that, my friend, is this. It requires time. As a business owner, as a real estate investor, because a real estate investor is a business owner, you have to be great at two things: systems and teams. So you have to create those systems and you have to build those teams. It's funny, the videographer's like, yeah, that's true. You probably experienced that yourself, right? He's like, yeah, it's true. It's true. You gotta have the systems in place, the processes, right? The SOPs, standard operating procedures, and the people, processes and people, right? Now, in regard to people, it's time consuming. You have to kiss a lot of frogs to find that right prince. It's difficult. You have to train and develop them. So if you don't have that time, because you may have a full-time job, you may also have other commitments outside of work, like your wife, your husband, your family, your church, your charity, recreation, you have errands, you have leisure, you have so many things going on, which is fine, right? We're all human. But you do have to devote a considerable amount of time towards obtaining deal finders. So you can outsource it, right? And that's one of the things we do at 100% Finance. We actually have a gang of deal finders, at least 50 of them, who's always sending us deals. The great thing is this: our deal finders are trained. And guess who trained them? We did, right? Because we're used to buying properties with volume in mind. So they're always feeding us deals. They consider us a COI, a center of influence, in which they always want to send us deals that meet our 3 criteria. What's our 3 criteria? The same 3 criteria that we use as investors that you should use as well. And I'll share it with you. First criteria, as I mentioned earlier, cash flow. That's your gross revenue, minus your OpEx, that's your operating expenses, that's your taxes, your insurance, your property management fees, all that good stuff, utilities, all that. Your bottom line, minus your debt service, that's your mortgage payment, business credit payment, payment to your partners and so forth. What's left over, the profit in your pocket, is cash flow, at least $100 a door. Now, if you do $100 per door, it's no problems if you're buying several units, okay? Because sometimes I bought a 14 unit and I'm only cash flowing $1,100. But if I'm financing that 14 unit, 100% financed, none of my money's in the deal, sure, it's less than $100 per door, but am I really tripping off of that? No, I'm not tripping, I'm eating, right? So you can be mindful of that if you're obtaining multiple units. So first thing, cash flow, $100 per door. Second criteria, you want to buy with a cash on cash return of 15% or higher. Now, it could vary based upon your market. This is my criteria in my market, okay? And the third criteria, you want to buy with built-in equity. So that way you can leverage that deal. You can pull that equity out, a cash out refinance, pull off more expensive debt, pay off more expensive debt like business credit, or use that towards a down payment on your next deal. So there you have it, my friends. You got the sauce. I gave it to you. You know the 3 criteria. Now you just got to find those deal finders. Either you do it yourself or find someone who's an expert, the professionals, and let them do it for you. We got your back at 100%finance.com. Trust but verify. One of our presidents said that quote, and you need to internalize, embed that quote into your investor mind because it's vitally important. right? You gotta do your own analysis. You gotta wear two hats. At first, you're an investor, right? You're looking for deals, you're looking for the money, you're looking at the numbers and so forth, but you need to switch off that investor's hat and put on your investigator's hat. You need to investigate all those expenses to make sure that they're actually legit. Let me give you some more insight about that 4-unit. I keep using an example, because that was a great deal for me, right? My first multi-unit deal in another state, in Pittsburgh, PA. Now with this 4-unit, man, I did zero due diligence. Absolutely nothing. I was gullible. I thought everything on our listing was accurate. When they said their rent was $1,600 a month, the taxes were $2,000 a year, I just took their word for it. I didn't verify anything. That's where the financials are concerned. But there's two types of due diligence you have to perform, my friend, to trust and verify the property. One is the financials, two is the physical aspect. Everything from the roof to the basement, the crawl space needs to get inspected. Not by you, because you probably didn't get certified as a property inspector. You're probably not a general contractor, right? You just can't eyeball the work, so to speak. You want to hire a professional so they can give you a detailed report and have a contractor give you an itemized estimate of how much those repairs will cost. So back to my situation, I did none of the sort. And what's the price I had to pay? As soon as I closed on that property, I was jumping for joy, right? But I got a letter from my mortgage company saying that, hey, we may cancel your mortgage, or we may penalize you because we received a letter from your insurance company, because you gotta have hazard insurance if you have a mortgage, right? We received a letter from your insurance company that they're canceling insurance. So you gotta do whatever they say you have to do in regard to repairing the property to reinstate your insurance. Otherwise, we have to use our own insurance, it's gonna be at a higher rate. So I reached out to my insurance company, Hazard Insurance, and just inquiring, what's the problem? They said, well, on this 4-unit, all 4 chimneys need pointed. They're crumbling. So I said, okay, let me reach out to a masonry, right? A mason, to see how much would this cost. This gentleman told me that the cost would be $5,000 in total. And that was the best price I can get. And at those times, money was tight. So it was hard for me, very difficult, to come up with $5,000 within 30 days to do that repair. Because I had only 30 days, otherwise my insurance was going to be canceled. Now, if I had to rewind the hands of time, for one, I would have got that property inspection. So I would have knew everything that's wrong with that property. And that's the financial freedom principle that we teach on our videos on our YouTube channel at 100%finance.com. It's this: evaluate all consequences up front. If you're buying a property, you want to evaluate every single consequence, everything from the roof to the basement. Then after you evaluate those consequences, see an itemized report, then you want to be able to negotiate what I like to call a CBC, cash back at closing, meaning have the seller pay for that expense. So I don't have to. I just could have told the seller, hey, this repair is going to cost $5,000. So I don't want to bring another $5,000 to the closing table. I want you to give me a credit so that I can pay my team using my money to finance that repair. That's all I had to do. But I didn't know that. You know, but it's the old saying, right? If you know better, you'll do better. But guess what? At least I took action. This is a little tangent, all right? So feel free for the tangent. I don't want you to be in the mindset of, well, I don't know 100% complete information, so I'm not going to get started. I know I've been studying real estate, watching every single video for 2.5 years. I know I read every ebook. I know I attended every webinar. I go to all these networking events. I have a mentor. I've done everything under the sun in regard to knowing, studying, and learning real estate. However, still have this much cash flow as of today, 0. You gotta take action. Don't be afraid to take action. We all do. That's the point of being an entrepreneur. You have to be an action taker. I think Colin Powell said this. As long as you know 70% of the information, that's enough information for you to get started. So yes, I got started, made some mistakes, but it's called iterating. You continue to improve the process as you go along, all right? So don't just buy a property and perform no due diligence. Always trust but verify. Close, close, close. This is something I want you to write down, so get your pen and pad. If you gotta press pause, press pause. It's a video, all right? Ready? Time kills all deals in real estate investing. Period. If you're taking too long, if you're dragging your feet, if you're missing deadlines, that's going to kill your deal. No professional, whether it's an agent, a wholesaler, a lender, an attorney, an inspector, if you're delaying the process and as a result of your fault, that deal can end eventually fall through the cracks. Trust me, I know. It sucks, but it's all based upon integrity. Integrity, yes, integrity. What does integrity mean? Doing what you said you're going to do. If you said, yes, I'll have the due diligence complete in 30 days, meet that deadline. If you said, hey, I also have the appraisal check sent in the mail today, you should receive it by Wednesday, make sure you put that check in the mail today and send it by Wednesday. If you tell that agent, yes, I'm gonna have that contract signed Tuesday at 2 p.m., but you have it signed and you email it to them at 4 p.m., you're not being a person of integrity. Period. People wanna work with people who are honest, of high character, and who can close. You can ensure that you have a great closing rate as long as you perfect your time management skills as well as your project management skills. Now, most real estate investing networks or channels don't discuss that. It's okay to know the skill set, right? How to negotiate the financing, how to analyze a deal, doing proper due diligence and so forth. Don't get me wrong, the technical part is important. But what trumps the skill set? The mindset, the soft skills. I got this before, you probably saw this in my videos. I always bring it up because it's so relevant as of today. I was doing an event and I was talking about negotiate seller financing at 5% interest rate, right? Amortized over 10 years. And one person stood up and said, hey, you can't do that. What seller in the right mind will want to do that at 5% interest rate? And I said, well, hey, that's a good point. But I have a question for you. Have you ever taken the class on negotiations? Shut them up, right? I mentioned Toastmasters. Why do you think I took Toastmasters? I have a YouTube channel. I have to improve on my communication skills. I also have a team. I also have to communicate well with my team. There's no point in me having a bunch of real estate, I say a bunch, a cornucopious amount, right, of real estate knowledge if I can't articulate it to you, for you to understand, especially if you're brand new to it. I had to develop those soft skills: sales, negotiations, time management, project management. So with real estate investing, closing on a deal, you do have to manage your time. And guess what? It's not just your time either. It's other people's time. Unfortunately, some of my counterparts in real estate industry, right, like a real estate agent and so forth, they might never have taken the course on time management. So you have to help manage their time as well as the process. That's where project management is concerned. That's how that comes into play. Because it's your job to make sure that deal is being seen all the way through. So you must close on the deal so that your team will continue to do business with you. If you haven't picked it up already, my friend, real estate investing is a business. And as a business owner, not just a real estate investor, as a business owner of 100%finance.com, man, I realize it's all about systems. It's about operations. It's about operational efficiency. In order to receive repeat business, right, you got to make sure that your operations are efficient. The process is documented. You have checklists. You have accountability in place. A repeatable process. So that way you can get repeat clients. You have to do the same for real estate investing. So let's just be frank, right? If you're just getting started and you have some apprehension about, well, I don't know if I'm gonna be doing this right. Sure, I've read a ton of books. I've networked a lot. I watched a ton of videos, listened to many podcasts, but I still have reservations, a little fear. That's normal, right? Most people are fearful when they're embarking upon uncharted territory. So if you haven't closed on that first deal yet, I get it. You might be a little scared. Therefore, make sure that you take action, but leverage someone who's been there, done that. That's another financial freedom principle we teach at 100%finance.com. Is this: duplication is better than innovation. It's better to duplicate a business that's doing something successfully that you want to embark upon. So that way, that territory is not too unfamiliar. Someone else charted that territory for you. It can hold you by the hand and bring you along with them. And that's what we do with our MAP, our multi-unit acquisition program. So I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch or what have you, but the reason why this product was created, this program was created, with you in mind. We read your comments. We answer your questions. We're on the phone with you to ensure that we know exactly what your needs, what your wants are, and we make sure that we tailor our programs to your liking. All right? So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to go to our website. If you want to know more about the cash flow cycle, we have a great amount of resources for you to make sure that you're well educated before you get started. Just visit our website, 100%finance.com. All right, friend, as always, to your success, continue to earn passively, live passionately, and one last thing, watch our videos every day. Brainwash yourself for success. If you spend 2 to 5 minutes every day when you're commuting to work, as you're washing the dishes, whatever you're doing, just plug some earphones in and just get that content. You need to brainwash yourself, because if you're spending the majority of your day as an employee, even as an entrepreneur, that can deter you from actually becoming an entrepreneur. Your mind needs to be convinced that you are a real estate entrepreneur, and we're here to help. All right? Peace.